Hello and welcome back. I'm so happy that our next guest here at MoteCon 2024 is Eric Curts. Now, Eric Curts is the kind of guy who does not need an introduction, but in case you're not familiar with his work, Eric is a technology integration specialist at Stark Portage Area Computer Consortium. But much more than that, he's known to thousands and thousands of educators around the world as the founder and host of the Control Alt Achieve blog and an amazing set of videos he creates every week to share the latest and greatest in EdTech. In fact, Eric was the first EdTech influencer that I followed when we first launched Mote. And I continue to look to Eric for his uniquely balanced and thoughtful perspectives on all things EdTech. So if you're not already a follower of Eric's, I strongly recommend you check out his blog, Control Alt Achieve. Eric is a longtime friend of ours here at Mote, and I'm thrilled to welcome him back to MoteCon 2024. Hey, Eric, how you doing?
Hey, I am doing great. Thank you so much for having me. It's always a pleasure to be a part of MoteCon. It's been years, I think, that we've been doing this, and always happy to be back with a product that I absolutely love and use and recommend all the time. So excited to be here again.
Well, anyway, I think you know how much we admire and appreciate the work you do, Eric. And I also love the fact that you always do something kind of unusual, kind of left field. And I think today is no exception to that. So, tell us a little bit about what you're sharing today.
Yeah, let me go ahead and I'll pull up my slideshow here, and then we can start chatting about it. Give me just a sec here. Sorry about that. I should have had that already queued up. We're just too excited talking here today. So let me go ahead and I'll get that pulled up, and then you can add that in as well.
Yeah, I will add that to stay.
Perfect,
right.
Perfect. So I do like to try to talk about something a little bit different. You're right, because I'm hoping by now that everybody knows all about Mote. But if not, I'm sure during MoteCon they're picking up a lot of good introductory content, a lot of basics, a lot of the amazing things it does for teacher feedback and student use and all that. That's fantastic. Having said that, yeah, it's fun to say, what else can we do with it? How else can we, kind of push it? And so we're going to be talking about creating a Google Slides soundboard. Now, I have shared this kind of content in the past, but Mote has recently made this easier than ever. And I'm like, okay, with these new updates, even if you've heard me talk about this before, you have to see this again, because it has just gotten, well, let's just say 200% easier because there are two new ways that you can use Mote to do this that I think are just the most intuitive, easy, teacher-friendly way to do this. And I want to be sharing that here with you today.
Eric, that sounds amazing. I'm going to drop out and I'll come back at the end, perhaps with some questions, but over to you. And I can't wait to learn more.
All right. Thanks so much. All right, so a couple of little quick housekeeping things, and we'll dive right into this. So for anybody that would like to access the resources for what I'm going to be sharing, there is a link, and you'll see that on the screen there, bit.ly/Curts-soundboard. If you put in that bit.ly link, that will take you to a Google document that has everything that I'm explaining here. So, we're going to run through this kind of quick, but all of the information can be found in that document. This is what that document looks like. When you get there, you'll find all of the links, all of the explanations, all of the resources. It's all there in that document, and you can access that anytime you want. And of course, all my contact info is at the top as well, if you need to stay in touch with me. We'll go ahead and jump really quick through the rest of these slides. We don't need to do all the intro stuff. Hi, we already took care of all that. So we'll just jump on up into what this is going to be about here. So what we're talking about here in this session is a really clever way to use Mote inside of Google Slides. Now, years ago, I'm not sure exactly how long ago, but Google added a new feature to Google Slides. They added the ability to insert audio into a slideshow. And that was really great. That was a really nice feature that they added in there. But it wasn't very easy. there was a number of steps you had to go through to make it work properly, and then Mote came along and added that in as a feature in Mote and just made it so much easier to be able to add audio to a slideshow. And so a lot of times when we think about adding audio to a slideshow, we think, well, that's great. Yeah, you could have audio in there for directions. Maybe somebody's, clicking through a slideshow and you can have some spoken directions. Or if you're doing a slideshow where, I've done some on long and short vowel sounds, you can have audio that is reading the words and then the students are doing the drag and drop activity. Well, one additional possible use for this is to create what's called a soundboard. And that's what we're doing in this session. We're going to look at some example soundboards, and then really quick, going to show you how you can do this yourself and how Mote can make it so easy to accomplish. And then we'll finish up with then showing how to then publish and use that soundboard that you create. So first of all, I think the best thing to do is just to show you a couple examples. It'll make way more sense once you see what I mean by a soundboard. So I've got two examples here. The first one's just more of a general example where I pulled a whole bunch of sounds together, and then the second one's a more specialized example. Let's start with this first one, and these links are all in that document that I mentioned earlier, so you can scroll on down in that document, and there's the example soundboard. So everything I'm showing you here, you have full access to as well. So in this first one, if I go into the published version of my slideshow, this is just a sample class soundboard where basically what I've done is I have added audio onto the Google slideshow here, and I can just click on any of these little audio icons and it will play a sound. So the first two rows, I recorded my own voice saying things. So for example, if I click on this, good job, or nailed it, or woohoo! There you go. And so it's going to, play back that audio. I've also got a row on the bottom here where instead of recording my voice, I use some pre-recorded, audio. So like we've got magic over here. We've got a buzzer. Oops, get my buzzer. And we've got, of course, the air horn. You have to have an air horn. Of course, you can spam it if you want. Go ahead and click it a couple times. So in that case, I used Mote to record my voice for a whole lot of these, but I also just found some audio online and was able to download and upload that as well. Now, that's one example with just a wide variety of audio clips in there. Something a little more specific, here's one that I did specifically for a story. And so in this case, the idea is maybe I'm a student or I'm a teacher and I'm reading a book to my students. And while reading the book, I want to have some sound effects to go along with it. And so this one actually is based off of a book my daughter wrote. My daughter is an author and an illustrator, and she did a book called Red the Raccoon. It's about children dealing with fears and things like that. And so I took her book and I created a soundboard so that while reading the book, I have sound effects that go along with each page of the book, whether it's the owl hooting here as part of here we'll click on that and pull up our little hooting owl here. There it comes. Or whether it is one of the raccoons squeaking, and I don't know how a raccoon sounds like, so I had to kind of find something here. We'll get a little squeak here. There you go. You get the idea. And all throughout the story, as things happen in the story, I can click on those different those sounds to play them. So that's the idea, is that we can create a soundboard in Google Slides and use it for all kinds of things. Maybe you're doing a game in class and you want to have buzzers and things that ding for correct right answers, or quizzes or competitions, or maybe it's classroom transitions. Maybe you want audio cues when it's time to line up or clear the desk or switch to another thing. Maybe there's audio cues you like to give to students, or like we just talked about, enhancing a story, that you're reading, or supporting content that's being taught, recording podcasts, videos. Having a soundboard can be a really nice way to very quickly, very easily have these recorded sounds ready to go right there in the slide. You just boop, give a click on it, and it plays the sound. So How do we do that? So let's take a quick look. And again, this is going to be very quick. We're going to do a very simple version of this. But here's the idea. First of all, what we would want to do is we would want to create a slideshow. And so I've already got one pulled up over here with that's going to be my demo soundboard. And for this one, I'm just going to keep it super, super, super simple. I'm just going to say, hey, let's drop in a quick table here on this slide. And you don't have to use a table. I'm doing that just because I think that's an easy way to organize things and keep track of them a little bit better. But let's just say we have a table here. And in each of these boxes, I want to drop in a sound. And then I can type in the box to remind myself what that sound is. So again, keeping it really simple now. You can make this as pretty as you want later. But for my very simple example, that's what we're going to do. Now, the question is, how do we now get the sounds into that? Well, that's where I say Mote is the hands down easiest tool for doing this. Now, we won't run through the whole process of installing and setting up Mote because I'm sure that's been covered in other sessions here at MoteCon. But in general, yes, you do need to go to the Chrome Web Store, install Mote, go through the initial setup there, and don't forget to pin it so you can always find it easily. But once you've got Mote installed, it is so super easy to be able to add audio into a Google slideshow. So let's take a look at how we do that. So basically, Mote gives you 3 options for putting audio into a slideshow. Used to be 1 option, and that's why I said I really wanted to show you these new updates. So basically, if I'm in my demo soundboard here, I'll notice the little Mote recorder icon above the slide. If I give a click on that, it'll pop up the little Mote window here, and notice it's got the traditional record option, which has been there in the past, which basically means I can just record my voice and boom, Mote will drop it right into the slideshow. But there's now 2 new options, the generate option and the upload option. So we're going to look at all 3 of those and how awesome they are. So let's start with the first one. So the first one basically is just recording your own voice. So if you want to say something, have it recorded and drop it in as a playable audio clip in your slide, really simple, easy to do. All we have to do is click here under the record on Mote, and I'll just say like, hello. I'll have that be my recording. So let's try that real quick. Hello. And there we go. Okay, so it recorded my voice. Now I can play it back if I want to make sure that, it's okay. We'll hit play here. Hello. Excellent. Seems like it worked fine. So at that point, all I have to do is click insert. And what's happening here is Mote is doing all of the heavy lifting for us. It is recording the audio. It is uploading it to my drive. It is sharing it in my drive, and it's inserting it into the slideshow. It's doing 4 different steps that normally you would have had to do on your own. I can now take that, I can move that here, maybe stretch it out a little bit so it's a little bit bigger, so it's easier to click on. That's always helpful. So you don't have to try to, find a teeny little button there. And now anytime I click on this, let's see. Hello. There it is. There's the recording. And then up here, I could type in like hello, so I know what that one is. Now, that's one way to get audio in there. Let's try another one. Another option here is to generate the audio with a voice that you pick from. So you type in the text and you pick a voice and it will make the audio clip for you. That is one of the new features in here. And I think that is fantastic. So if I were to come here to the Mote icon and go to generate, I could put in some text. I could say something like, great job or something like that. And then I could pick a voice, and there's loads of voices to pick from here. So you can click on the little play button and listen to all of these and find a voice that seems appropriate for what you want to do here. You can pick, the language as well that you're using here, and you can also change the speed at which it is doing that. Let's just say that's going to be good job with Ava as the voice. I'll click generate, give that a moment to generate that. And again, we can listen to it.
Great job.
And there we go. Love it. I can now hit insert, give that a moment to do the insert. And then once that's done, we can drag and drop that as well into our slideshow. So it is, again, it's taking it, saving it to my drive, sharing it, and inserting it. And there it is. So now I can put this one up here as well. We'll just add that on in and we'll say great job. And that brings us to our final option here. So we've got hello, we've got great job. Let's do one more. What about this? What about uploading audio. Sometimes you might have the audio saved from somewhere else. And there's a lot of great websites where you can go to download audio. I've got a whole section in the slideshow with free sites for sound effects. If you go down into that section of the document as well, you'll see there's a whole bunch listed here. We'll just pop over to Pixabay real quick as an example. Pixabay has free sound effects. So I could say I want to maybe get a dog barking, and I could come in here and find a dog barking. Let's see if this one sounds good. Yep, sounds good. I could now hit download, and I could say I want to download that. We'll just drop that into our Mote folder here on my local computer. And now I can use Mote to handle that as well, because I've already got it downloaded. I can go to my Mote button, go to upload, and I can simply drag and drop or select a file. So if I go here, I can go to my resources, go into my Mote folder, and there is my dog barking. Hit upload, and now it's taking that pre-recorded one. Let's make sure it sounds okay. Yep, sounds great. And go ahead and click insert, and now it has added that to my drive. It is sharing it, and it is inserting it. So the point is, we are covered on all of those bases, whether you want to record your voice, whether you want the computer to speak for you, or whether you have found some audio online that you want to record or that you want to use that's been pre-recorded, you are ready to go. All right. So with all of that said, you would just repeat that process. The last thing is we now just want to make sure that we can use this anytime. And so the last thing I will say is make sure when you're all done to publish the slideshow so that you can very easily click on it anytime you need. And that's nothing more than going to File, Share, and Publish to the web. When you do that, what it does is it gives you a nice friendly link that you can use. Just copy that link, and then you can just bookmark that link anytime you need, because what that will do is easily pull up the published version of this, and you can click on each of these. So here,
Hello.
Hello.
Great job.
A great job. And our dog barking. And that way you can have it in a tab on its own while you're working on reading the book to the students or playing the game or whatever it is you want to do. And again, Mote makes this super easy, easier than any other way to put that into there. So that's the gist for how that works. And again, all of those resources, all of that can be found at bit.ly/Curts-Soundboard.
Eric, that was so fantastic. I mean, I'm thrilled that you found such a brilliant way to showcase these new features that we've added over the summer, the generate and upload features, which separately have been requested by people for different sort of use cases. And I love seeing them being used here for the soundboard. So that was amazing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for building that into the tool. It's so intuitive. It makes so much sense. And I can't think of an easier way to accomplish that.
That's really great. I was wondering, so you mentioned stories and books. Have you thought about, have you done other similar things with storytelling in slides? Is slides a good tool to use for kind of creating sort of books as projects for students? Is it used a lot in that way?
Yeah, I think that's a fantastic use as well. So yes, for my example, I was sort of saying, well, what if I'm literally holding the book up in class and I'm, reading this story to my students, and I just want some sound effects to go along with it to bring it to life. But absolutely, you could have Google Slides as the story itself. Wonderful for students to create their own stories. And then, yeah, they can drop in all of these audio effects into the story, whether it is them reading the story, whether it's having the computer read it for them, or if they're just adding sound effects into it. When my daughter was really young, there used to be these CD-ROM games. I know now we're going way back. I'm talking about CD-ROM games. There are these CD-ROM games that were basically famous kid stories, whether it was The Cat in the Hat or whatever. And as it flipped through the pages, if you hovered your mouse all around, you could find clickable spots. And when you clicked it, it would say something or do something. And that was a neat way to teach students about using a mouse and so forth while learning the story. Well, you could replicate that very easily by doing the same thing with having Mote, adding audio into the slideshow there. And then you could click on different spots and have the sound effects to go along with the story that you're reading or exploring.
I love it. You've actually given me an idea, which I think I'm not going to share today, but I've just given me an idea for something cool, which I'd love us to build. So maybe I'll have a surprise for next time you and I speak and talk about.
I love it.
But I'll keep it to myself until I get too excited. So I'll leave it. But Eric, this has been a pleasure as always. I really appreciate the ideas, the creativity here. I'm going to go find myself. Where can I find Red the Raccoon? Is that one of the things?
Oh yeah. So that again, that is a book my daughter put out. She's done several books. If you go to the main link here for the resource document and you go to the section on sample slide boards or soundboards, I do have the actual book link to Amazon for Red the Raccoon there, where you can pop on out for that, as well as the published version and the edited version of the soundboard. So you can go to the edit version, which basically means you can make your own copy. If you go there, you can get the original slideshow there and just go file, make a copy, and you can have your own copy of that. So you can have sound effects to go along with it while you're reading it. But yes, the link to her book is in there as well at that link.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, that's it for today for this session. Brilliant. Thank you so much, Eric. As always, a real pleasure to get to spend time with you. And thank you again for joining us for MoteCon.
Thanks so much.
Take care. All right. That's great. We'll see you again in just a couple of minutes.